Hey guys, so last time I got the background working for the scene. So you could change the background color and that's like awesome. And then I said that this time what I would do is make it to where you could change the material type. And so we have three here. We have our normal, which is sitting at 0, 0, 0, and it's got this multicolor thing. And then we have a basic, which is basically it. I didn't give it a color, so it defaults to white. And then we have a Phong, which absorbs color. I guess it just renders as black. So if you can imagine, if we had the black background, you wouldn't be able to see. So like if I make all these black, you can't see it because it's not there. But if we change it to green, you can see it. Um, so basically, the way it works is this guy's always going to have this color. You can assign a color. It doesn't matter what you do, it's going to ignore it. This one, we can assign a color, but we didn't assign a color, so it made it white. This one, you can assign a color, but you also need it. I think it's still going to show up as black, even if we did assign a color until we add lights to the scene. And we don't have a way to add lights yet, so that's coming soon. I think there's one. Oh yeah, I don't have any way in the meshes right now to add colors. So if we go into this guy right here, there's no color picker, which that's coming soon. That's coming next. That'll be the next thing I work on, and then after that, I'll work on um, adding colors or adding lights, which I think is going to be a game changer. But anyways, to accomplish this, I had to, in order to accomplish this magic, why can't I expand that? Okay, there we go. So I in the interface I added these three material types. I added a material types and they have three. There's a basic, a Phong, and a normal, and then I added material type to our mesh interface. So and that's of type material type. So that basically locks down that all meshes will have a material type, and it'll either be basic, Phong, or normal. That's what that means. And now let's go into the service so we can kind of see it in action. Okay, so basically we needed to import our other two material types. So now we have all three coming in: basic, base norm, best mesh normal, and mesh Phong. And then um, if you go down here, um, you can see that I had to inform that this meshes group is no longer just a mesh normal. Can also be a basic or Phong, and that's what this bar. This is the or bar, and it just says, hey, it can be any of those three, and that's one cool thing in TypeScript. And then let me hop down to the next change. Basically, I had to do the exact same thing here. Um, just let it, TypeScript, compiler failed until I updated that, and then again, when I created this material, I had to say that it could be any of these and that it was a new 3GS normal material. So anytime you add a new mesh, it's going to default to a normal material. And then if we happen to have updated the material type, or if we ever change the material type to a basic, it'll create a basic or a Phong. This isn't technically possible at this time, but if we ever decided to change the material to like a basic or a Phong, that and that wouldn't surprise me if that happens. That'll come in handy that it's already updated. And then in here, in the update mesh function, basically I added material handling. And so up here, I just update whatever gets sent in. I update the mesh to that position because this is a primitive. And in my personal experience, primitives update. It doesn't matter. The update in memory is very simple. They won't. They didn't have to do any extra code to make this happen. So behind the scenes, this is very lightweight in JavaScript 99 times out of 100, there's no there's no performance issues with doing something like that with primitives. On the other hand, when you're updating an entire object, like we're doing here, we're saying the new material is this whole new object. This is going to mint out a brand new object, and then we're going to add that material to the mesh. Behind the scenes, there's probably some heavy duty work that has to be done to make this happen, because JavaScript's notoriously bad at noticing changes in. It's very expensive to make changes in the back end. Or on object changes. So it's extremely light on primitive changes and very heavy. So that's why I did it that way. So now, let me see. I'm gonna at the toolbox. The only thing I changed was I moved the mesh to the front, because while I was working on it, it was a lot easier if it just reloaded. Like if I go back to here, and I hit reload, um, I have the mesh showing up at the front, because that's what I was working with. I will probably move it back to where it came from. That was just good for the coding process. And then let's move this down. Okay, so this is where I show the new material type in the form, or not in the form, but in the data. So if I let's see, yeah, so right here, material normal. It's pretty straightforward. And then over here is where, okay, so basically, I don't know if you remember, but before yesterday, when you came into, if you hit this button, these were just like circa 1999 form inputs. And then I changed them to the material forms because they looked horrible. Because, when I built this one out, I built that as a material dropdown. So I fixed those, and that's what that's all about. So basically, this was the old-fashioned form controls, or form inputs, and this is the new fancy form inputs with hint texts and all kinds of cool stuff. Now, I think that about covers it. Oh yeah, I had to add some styles because these, while there was plenty of room, the default was plenty wide enough to do the actual work. The hint texts were hidden, and in here I pull in the stuff for our new material stuff, and I updated the initial default mesh data to be a normal. So if I change this to basic, that code that we did before would come into play. And then in the subroutine, in the subscriptions, I basically updated it so that the material type can also be called, and then I changed this update mesh, and I think that's, and then I added a new form, control called material type, and that's about it. Everything else, that was about everything. So basically, just to confirm, the initial idea was that I believed, and this was all so mysterious to me when I first started this project. Like, knew that a basic, I knew there was basic and that it cared about lights. I knew that the normal did not care about lights, and if you change the color on a normal, it's going to stay this color. It doesn't do anything. But basic, you can change the color, but the default is white. And then Phong is no color, but it does show up if you do change the scene. So you can see it, but if we change the color, I think it'll still show up as black, but I'm not sure. I'll be very interested to see, because tomorrow, or the next time I work on this, which is probably this afternoon, I'll be able to change the color and see if it still stays black. And then I think it will, and then we have to add lights, and then that is probably later on this week. Anyways, that's everything. I think it's really good progress. I learned a lot. Happy coding. Bye.